Hey guys, how's it going? So we're back with another video, and today we're going to right the wrongs of Fender, in a way. So this is the new Fender American Pro Classic Jaguar, but it's not classic. I did change the pickguard already, but that wasn't enough. You notice anything about this? We did a whole video about this, but they called it a classic. It doesn't have a rhythm circuit, it doesn't have a lead circuit. Instead, it's got a three-way switch, and then this gigantic plate with just a strangle switch. What the hell is that, Fender? So I decided to take it upon myself to be the very first person ever to mod the American Pro Classic back to the original 62 wiring spec. So we're going to do that today, and we're also going to make this guitar one of a kind aesthetically, as only Big Jake can do. Let's take it to the workbench. Alright, so here it is again. This is the pickguard that it came with. The American Professional Classic Jaguar. It was just a plain black pickguard. I went to my friend John's shop. He's been in business over 50 years. And I got this red tort guard from him, but that wasn't enough for me. This guitar makes me really mad. The bridge is a Mustang bridge. It doesn't have a rhythm circuit. Sorry, it doesn't have a rhythm circuit. Doesn't have a lead circuit. The pickguard was wrong here. I did switch the knobs just for aesthetic reasons. I put some Fender blackface amp knobs on here because I think it looks really cool. But I decided, you know what? I'm one of the first people, if not the first person, who bought this guitar as a normal person without getting it early. So I also would like to be the first person to mod this to the correct 62 spec with the wiring. So to do that, we've got a couple things. First, here's a bridge. Notice the notched saddles, how they're grooved all the way across. This is the original Jaguar bridge. I like this more. It has more mass. It causes more jangle back here. The bridge that it comes with is a Mustang bridge. See if you can see that. See how there's only one notch? Yeah, I don't like that very much. I also like that this bridge has individually adjustable saddles. So we're going to install that. That's one of the things we're going to do. I also got... You got to get some new plates, right? So that you can install the rhythm and lead circuit. So I got some plates. You guys are going to kill me. So I just talked about how I don't like how it's not classic, and then I'm going to go do something counter to that. But I got some gold plates. So I'm really anxious to see how that turns out. Gold plates on this with a chrome bridge, which is really funny. I thought I could get away with it because my rings are silver and gold, right? I got gold brass here, and then I got silver steel here, so I figured I could get away with mixing the gold and the silver myself on this guitar. So there's that. We also need to have screws to attach the new circuits to the chrome plates, and we also need the wiring harness itself. I cheated, guys. I bought a wiring assembly, and I'll put a link in the description. But it turned out to only be about $20 more than buying all the parts myself to have this guy make it for me. Now, he makes these to order. Shame on me for not having his name available. Can I find it fast enough? But I'll put a link in the description to his storefront. But basically, you order this, and then he makes it for you. Okay? So you can see your volume and your tone. You can see your jack. You can see your volume and your tone and your switch for your rhythm circuit. And then you can see your on-off switches for the strangle switch and the on-off switch for each pickup. And it all comes pre-wired. It smells wonderful, by the way. I'm not kidding. It smells wonderful. It smells like, I don't know, it smells vintage. But yeah, he uses cloth wire and everything. Really cool. So these are going to mount in these gold plates. And lastly is the pickguard. I got a new pickguard, but we're going to save that for the end. That's a surprise. So let's move all this crap out of the way and take this pickguard off. So all the screws are off, but now we got to get the strings off. How are we going to do that? I usually just cut them. Look, I'm just going to take this wire cutter. I'm not kidding. I'm going to loosen the string. Why am I showing you this? I'm insulting your intelligence, but just for content. Alright, the strings are off with the help from my friend. And now we can take the bridge off. The bridge on a Jaguar Jazzmaster is so cool and interesting to me. because it's not like a tunematic. It literally, look at this. People get they complain about that like it's a problem, but that's the design. As you rock, 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 rock. It's a really cool design. I love it. Leo was a genius sometimes, wasn't he? But there's that awful Mustang bridge, the idiot-proof Mustang bridge that I hate. So let's get the hell rid of that thing. And let's lift the pickguard off. Are you ready? Are you ready, kids? Here we go. Whoop. And it's off. What do we see in here? Well, let's keep going. Let's take this off, and this off, and this off. Then everything will be off, and we should be able to pull all the wiring out besides the pickups. So let's do that now. Okay, we got all the screws off of the plates, so let's take them off. This one is first. This one is next. Then this one is last. We've got some crazy stuff going on here. I'm going to grab the camera and show it to you. Alright, so as you can see, we've got a lot of like grounding things going on here. Look at this ground point. You see how these wires come up? Like this one is grounded to the volume pot, and this one is grounded to the switch. One of the things I'm not super stoked about, and it's not Fender's fault, it's I gotta take this pickup out to get this plate off. I mean, I could just cut it, but I think I'm gonna leave it all as one piece so I can throw it in a bag. If I ever sell this guitar, it'd be nice to have the original things. By the way, I think this looks really cool without a pickguard. Would I be totally crazy if I just didn't install one? I don't know. It makes me kind of want to get another Jaguar just to do that with and just have no pickguard. I think that looks ridiculously stupid in a good way, but that's just me. So I guess what we have to do now is we have to take this pickup out completely to get these wires out so that we don't have to cut them. And that's not a laziness thing. Like I said, I just want to keep all of this stuff together to where it should all just lift out, and then we can just keep it in a bag. So I'm going to pull this pickup out, and then I'm going to take these things out of here. All right, so now it's time for me to turn into a little scientist. This is the American Vintage Jaguar. This shows you where all the ground points are supposed to be. But the stupid version is every electronic anything in this guitar has to ground. For example, you can't have the rhythm circuit not grounded to anything, right? So if you look here, you've got a ground wire coming out from the bridge assembly. You've got a common ground point right here with this screw, okay? And what's happening is, if you follow these wires, you've got one of these grounding to the back of this pot. You've got one of these grounding to the switch. You've got the pickups, it looks like, grounding to the switch as well. So the pickups are all grounding to the switch. The switch is grounding to this. This is grounding to the back of the pot. This is grounding to this, which is grounding to the back of the pot. So basically, the back of this pot is like the master ground for everything. And then, of course, you can see here that this tone is also grounding to the back of this pot. So why am I saying all of this stuff? Well, I'm going to have to snip the ground wire off the back of this and re-ground it to this new wiring harness that we just bought. That's the one thing that we're going to have to do, is we're going to have to ground it to the back of this pot. Because this wiring harness that we got, obviously it's not going to be grounded because it has to ground to the guitar, right? So if we use the same idea and we ground everything to the back of what the new volume pot is going to be, we should be fine. The one thing that we have to add, though, because as you can see, we've got a wire for that. We've got a wire for the lead circuit. The one thing we don't have is there's nothing here. So what we're going to have to do is use some kind of wire or something to ground the rhythm circuit so that it matches up with all of these other things and grounds to the back of that pot. So let's get all this crap out of here. I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to cut the leads off of the pickups and remove all of these electronics, and we're going to go from there. I probably don't need to show you this, but I'm going to anyway. So this dude is awesome. He actually includes the screws, the mounting screws, which is so cool. I bought some and I didn't need them. So basically, it's so easy, guys. You just take this off here and this off here, and put it in here. And then you take this off here and this off here, put it here and here. Stupidly simple. One thing of major note, though, is the wheels. I'm calling them wheels. But these are for the rhythm circuit switches. You can see it in here. It's a little wheel. It's funny how big they are when you see them, not through the little plate. But here it is. And this just goes on there, and it turns up through this opening here. So make sure you put those on first. But I'm going to stick all these in. You can see here it all reaches over. One thing that I wanted to mention, I guess I'll just say it all. So here's the output jack. There's the volume and tone. There's the lead circuit. And over here is the rhythm circuit. There is, in fact, a ground wire for the rhythm circuit. So you can see it hanging out down there. So I'm going to go ahead and screw these all on the plates. And then before we solder anything, I'll come back. Okay, so the rumors aren't true. I want to say things that I can't say right now. This idiotic, stupid piece of shit routing job that Fender did here, look at this shit. You can't do it. You got to take a wood router to it. Why in the name of hell would they even make this route if you can't put this in here? Look at this shit. Look, it won't fit. It won't fit. So, you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm just not going to use this. That's the only option. I'm just not going to be able to use the rhythm tone control until I have the balls to do, it's this little corner, this. That's it. That's it right there. You have got to be kidding me. Unbelievable and unacceptable. All right, now I've got all the plates, everything's on. So now it's time to talk about grounding. This ground wire is going to go here. This ground wire is going to go there. This ground wire is going to go to the top of this right here. And then he actually gives you this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw one end of this to here and the other end of this to here. And that should work for the grounding. So let me get all that soldered and then I'll come back. One of the things you have to do to make sure that your guitar is working before you put the pickguard back on is you got to make sure that all the pickups and switches are working. So basically the way it works is this is your on-off switch for your rhythm pickup. This is your on-off switch for your lead pickup. And this is your on-off switch for your strangle switch. This is your on-off switch for your rhythm circuit. So as it is right now, the strangle switch is turned off and it should just be the lead pickup. So let's check. There we go, and nothing. Let's go ahead and turn on the rhythm pickup now. And this one should work too. Okay, and let's turn this one off. Nothing. There we go. Now let's check the strangle switch. Yep, that's working. And last, let's check this. And check that the volume works. And it does. One other thing to check is this volume, and it works. Let's check the tone also, and it works. All right, cool. Now, we are putting the original bridge on this, and one thing about the original bridge is the strings have a tendency to slip off of the saddle, and it's usually because it comes from the factory with string gauges that are either too light, or the bridge, you get it as low as you want with low action, but then you have string slippage. So we're going to have to install a neck shim. I recommend 1/2 degree, which I've got some right here. They actually used to ship from the Fender factory back in the 60s and 70s and even the 80s with shims pre-installed. What shimming does is it raises the neck up so that you can raise the bridge and increase the break angle to the vibrato tailpiece. We actually did a whole video about that a couple years ago. So I'm going to go ahead and install that neck shim right now. All you do is take the 4 bolts off and put the shim in the back with the fat side facing the bridge. All right, here it is. It's all done. Check it out. Woo, that looks good. Isn't that pickguard stupid? I love it. But let's go through it. See what it sounds like now that we've got the proper switching. I know you can't see my pretty face, but I wanted to make sure you could see the pretty guitar. So we're going to start on the lead circuit. How do the switches work? The middle switch is for the lead pickup, which is this pickup right here. This switch right here is for the rhythm pickup, which is this pickup right here. These are on-off switches. Then this switch is the low cut. When this switch is on, it cuts out the low end and makes it sound a little bit nasally and spanky. So right now we've just got it on the lead pickup only. So let's see what it sounds like. Clean. Sounds pretty cool. Let's put it on the rhythm pickup, not circuit, rhythm pickup now. So off. Look, there's nothing now. So let's turn this pickup on. There we go. Sounds pretty good. Then both pickups on. All right, and now let's engage this strangle switch. So here it is with it off. So that's what that does. I'm not a big fan of it, but some people like it. Now, rhythm circuit. So the rhythm circuit, what happens when you flip this switch on is it routes this pickup only to these pots. I'm sorry, these pots right here. And this pickup doesn't work at all. So turn it on. Now, this is the volume. This would be the tone. But as we discussed, Fender, in their infinite idiocy, decided to not make the cavity big enough to put both of these pots in there, which I don't really know what that decision was. So I just turned it up all the way and then just taped it. So there you go, very custom. Here's what the rhythm circuit sounds like on a Jaguar, and it's one of my very favorite sounds and the reason why I love the Jaguar so much, at least one of them. So here you go. If you like to play real touchy stuff without a pick, that's where the rhythm circuit really shines to me, when you're doing this kind of thing. So, I hate not having the tone. That sucks. But, you know what? I'd rather have a rhythm circuit with no tone than no rhythm circuit. Because with this rhythm circuit off, off. Now, down here, this all is what the guitar came with. Because the guitar came with a 3-way switch, which is effectively doing this, and a strangle switch, which is this. So, I didn't really lose anything by doing this mod, even without the tone knob right here. But I gotta say, I love the way this guitar sounds now. It's exactly what I would hope for in a Jaguar, and it looks absolutely ridiculous. This is only a guitar a mother could love. I'm not its mother, but I do love it. Let's turn on some higher gain and see how it sounds. Here's like a crunchy sound. I love that. Man, that sounds so cool. Here's where you can really hear the strangle switch. I don't like it, but I mean, different strokes for different folks, I guess, right? So here it is without it. I just don't know why anybody would use that. I get why it exists, but, you know, that's okay. One last thing I want to do here is I want to do some higher gain with some delay, and then we'll go from there. So here you go. This is some high gain. Sounds so awesome. Now, you just heard the neck pickup. Listen to the rhythm circuit with this kind of gain. intend to do with the rhythm circuit live is roll it down quite a bit so that you can do this kind of thing, like this. So it's kind of like having a channel switcher, you know? You can do something real easy. So there we go. We got our Fender American Professional Classic Jaguar with the correct switching, sort of. We couldn't really get the tone knob of the rhythm circuit because Fender's a bunch of idiots. I honestly can't believe it. Here's the thing. I don't, like, plan on this stuff to happen. It just happens. I was, like, really excited. I was like, oh, I can just drop a rhythm circuit right in here and it'll work perfectly. Wrong! I tried to screw it in and it wouldn't fit. I didn't know it wasn't going to fit until I tried to screw the plate on. That's how far into the mod I was. So when I was yelling at you guys through the camera, that was my real reaction to it. I was so angry that it wouldn't fit. So I said, you know what, screw it. If I'm using this awful pickguard, which, by the way, isn't it funny that Eagle's upside down? Like, it's like looking at me when I look down at it. With the gold control plates, I might as well have this unusable tone knob. Just turn it up all the way inside. But yeah, there you go. So maybe this is a world first, but this is the Fender American Professional Classic with the proper wiring. I'm going to have a link in the description to the shop where I got that wiring, also to a wiring kit that you can do yourself. I'll also include links to the control plates that I bought here. As you can see, everything does fit. I will not give you a link to the pickguard because as far as I know, it's one of one. I found it on eBay listed as used for $4.99. It's upside down. It's made very terribly. I think someone might have even printed it themselves, like at home, with some kind of an ink printer. So, yeah, there you go. Thank you very much for watching. Please join the Discord if you haven't already. Please like and subscribe. And, yeah, see you next time. Keep on rocking. God bless.